So Fortnite Battle Royale is 7 years old now, and as you'd probably expect from a game that old, that's still attracting millions of players on a daily basis, things might have changed a bit over the last few years. I say might because just look at TF2. Last update that game got is nearly as old as Fortnite itself. Fortnite has seen new guns, changes in art style where they went from plopping a spinning tomato on a restaurant to what, they just throw dust on there. New gimmicks such as augments and weapon mods. All of this garbage. Yeah, this game has changed quite a lot. One interesting aspect of Fortnite's history I wanted to talk about was its history of vehicles, because believe it or not, if you're new to this game, there was a time where this game didn't have a lot of vehicles whatsoever. Playing BO was like you were in 28 Days Later or I Am Legend. Now there are more vehicles in this game than people who played Concord. Some of them were like the second coming of Christ. They graced the game. Some of them played the game like the Black Death. And I wanted to talk about all of that in a big video. Hey, I'm Spkwagen and this is Fortnite's history of vehicles. Believe me, I've been here since chapter 1. I know my shit. And I have seen some shit. Alright, let's begin.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
So many years ago, like, this is ancient history. Even Tilted Towers didn't exist back then. That place actually has its own Wikipedia page, by the way. So, long ago, Epic said that they wouldn't include vehicles in the game for a long time. They didn't say never, but definitely not for a long time. That's what they said. 4 months later, introducing Fortnite's first ever vehicle, the shopping cart. This was added in Season 4. It's literally just a shopping cart. You can find them anywhere on the map. Whoever left these things sitting around on the map is a menace to society. They weren't much faster than just running around unless you were on a slope where you could just slide down and go actually pretty fast. But you could have a squad mate jump on for a total of 1 passenger. They're basically obsolete today, but they laid the ground for future more advanced vehicles to come to the game. Much more advanced than the shopping cart itself. Like, that barely counts as a vehicle itself. Also, they really added to the game's goofy vibe back then. It's literally just a shopping cart. Season 5 begins and the all-terrain cart is added. Fortnite's first actual vehicle. And boy, did it make an entrance. These things are really loud. I've heard MOG edits quieter than this. So compared to the shopping cart, the ATK was much faster and it could offer more protection with a sturdy chassis. It could also hold 3 extra passengers, so it could hold a full squad in it. Another thing you could do is you could drift in it, and if you drifted for long enough, you could gain a speed boost. What is this, Mario Kart? Fast forward to Season 6, the Quad Crasher is added. Woo! It could only hold 2 passengers including the driver, but it was even faster than the ATK, and it could also boost more easily. You want to boost? And when boosting, you could easily ram through builds and destroy them. You could make the sweats cry. The thing most people remember this vehicle for is that it could fly. Like, it could literally fly. You go off a ramp and just point that shit upward and just boost and boost and boost. You could just fly. Also, the mounted turret was introduced. This is technically a vehicle, despite being in the build slot and stationary when placed. Alright, I'll talk about it. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a mounted turret that you jump on and you can shoot people with it. Well, it was also pretty OP, by the way.
And you put yours down because I don't got mine. Alright, here we go. Here's the video game. Oh, and one's down, and... That's a video game, everybody! We're the best gamers ever!
The launch of Season 7 would see the addition of the X4 Stormwing, also known as the Planes. This was Fortnite's first properly controversial vehicle. One, it was an aircraft that could fly anywhere, and basically made the land vehicles obsolete. It could also hold 5 passengers, including the pilot. That's another way it made the land vehicles obsolete up to that point. And the guns, though. The guns. Those things just destroyed anything. They literally dealt splash damage. And if you boosted by just pressing the button, you could destroy any builds and any players that you just rammed into. Like, that's just plain dumb balancing. This thing was also the centerpiece of the Air Royale LTM that got introduced a season later. I miss that LTM, it was a lot of fun. The interesting thing is that Epic announced prior to the end of Season 7 that the planes would be vaulted at the end of the season. It's not something you see them say very often, I don't think. I mean, yeah, vehicles get vaulted after one season on a pretty frequent basis these days, but back then, this was unprecedented. And after weeks of being teased in a loading screen, the driftboard would be added later on this season. Call this a hoverboard? This is a hoverboard. So this was a hovering skateboard that you could both boost and jump around on. If you try the same thing with the quad crasher, it could actually almost fly. Not quite, but almost. You could also use a gun still when you were riding it and just shoot people, which is, yeah. This is one of my favorite vehicles that ever got added into this game. It was so much fun to use. Also, when it got added, they even brought in a one-time LTM called the Driftin', which was basically Team Rumble, but with drift boards everywhere. That LTM was a lot of fun. I miss it. Season 8 begins. Planes, ATKs, and shopping carts are vaulted. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Oh, what are these things? This is the pirate cannon. You could shoot cannonballs out of it, and you could also jump in it yourself and launch yourself. It kind of controls like a shopping cart, other than that. This thing is cracked for rotating because you just launch yourself almost like a quarter across the map with just one shot. But in terms of actually killing people with the cannonballs, you kind of needed to get really lucky with it. No. I'm sure the unique kill feed would have made it worth it though. Alright. Next is the bowler, a hamster ball that was added in Season 8's first post-launch update. This is basically a hamster ball with a grappler that could latch on to and swing from anything. This is also another one of my favorite vehicles of all time. It was basically Spider-Man before Spider-Man. And just people playing with their balls. People like playing with their balls. This actually also caused a bit of controversy. Not quite as much as the planes, but it was really easy to just run away and avoid people with this thing. Especially in competitive where it caused most of the drama. Because you could just hide from people during the tournament. You want me to scrim? How about I scram? You're also supposed to be able to damage people as well, but they never enabled that. Season 9 didn't introduce any new vehicles, but the drift boards, the quad crashers, and the bowlers, those all stayed in the loot pool. Also, the drift boards got reskinned to surfboards for the 14 Days of Summer event. And then...
This game is so trash!
Season X is here, and the world is destabilizing fast. But don't worry, that means there are a ton of new ways to play Fortnite.
Bowlers and quad crashers are vaulted, and then these monstrosities are introduced. So the mechs were promoted as like a keystone vehicle of Season X. They were intended as a crutch for bad players to get more kills. That's actually what they said in this article, by the way. But they ended up causing probably the biggest controversy in the game's history. They tried to make Titanfall, but instead they instead caused Fortnite's own great dying.
There's a whole like...
Fuck is this shit?
No, it's too late! Oh my god!
What the?
We just got meched.
I eat pain.
Oh my god, this game is so bad, bro. I'm about to just uninstall.
Oh my god, it's the back wing! The back wing!
between the big shotgun that just destroyed anything, the missiles that could just literally blow up anything, like participation medal, you just blow up anything with those things. They had a ton of health, they could jump everywhere, they could stomp on anything. They could even farm mats for a bit too. They got nerfed a bunch, was still overpowered. There's so much to talk about with these mechs that they honestly deserve their own video at this point, which I'll definitely get to making eventually eventually. But this was something of a canon event for the community and for Epic. Like, this was a learning lesson for Epic, not to make things so broken that I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do, because otherwise this happens.
What are the odds? Fuck the mechs! Why the fuck are they a fucking thing, dude?
Some of the memes were pretty good though, I won't lie. Alright, cue the black hole. We enter chapter 2. Driftboards and mechs are vaulted. We have a clean slate for Fortnite as a whole, not just the vehicles. Anyways, we get motorboats. They're boats. They're designed to travel with the new rivers that the map has, because that was a new concept back then. Fortnite players used to be allergic to water till now. I guess that's why Squid's never showered. Also, they had missiles that they could shoot around. They weren't like crazy or anything. They could destroy builds. There's not a whole lot to them. The boats could also sort of travel on land, but it was really slow, and they actually incrementally damaged the boat's health, by the way. After that, we'd have to wait literally half a year later until midway through Chapter 2, Season 2 for our next new vehicle, the chopper.
Get to the chopper!
It's a helicopter that could carry 5 passengers, including the pilot. The other 4 passengers sit on these steps just on the sides of the helicopter. It sure sounds like a really overpowered vehicle, doesn't it? And the planes are next strike again. This thing has no onboard weapons. That was a pretty good call, I think. Having weapons on board that the pilot could operate, that would have been pretty unfair. Instead, you have to rely on your passengers' own weapons for them to attack anything. Fast forward to Season 3, which promised to give us cars as a new type of vehicle. That got delayed due to an issue. But in the meantime, blue sharks got added in the launch. This was technically a vehicle because you could ride them. All you had to do was grab a fishing rod, cast it out, wait for a shark to bite, and now you're just like Jason Statham in the Meg. I want you to name one reason why anyone would have done this after the first couple weeks. It was a pretty cool novelty, I suppose. And sometimes the shark would actually help you every so often, like by killing people. But it was a very clunky process just trying to get onto the shark, and when you were actually riding the shark, they weren't very good at actually killing people, were they? I mean, sometimes this happens.
Get Jesus! He saved my life!
But you wanna actually cross the ocean? Just use a fucking motorboat. Also, the motorboat missiles got buffed for a couple weeks and then reverted. Like, they were actually made quicker for a bit, and then they reverted them. I don't know what happened there. Along comes the Joyride update, and finally, the cars are added. There are at least 4 different types upon launch. There's the sedans. Average speed and handling, they could carry 4 passengers. Utes were really good at off-roading, they could also carry 4 passengers. The back 2 were completely exposed. At least they could do the gritty, I guess. There's the trucks, very slow, almost unusable off-road. They could destroy builds really easy if you just rammed into them. Or you could just do this.
Wait, we got the knock? Okay.
Yeah, go that way. Pull me into him. Pull me into him. There he is.
Come here, boy! You push him!
Keep pulling. Keep pulling.
Get him! There we go, he's dead. Wait, there's more people in there.
Alright, keep pulling.
And then the whiplashes. These were by far the fastest type of car in the update. They only hold 2 passengers, but they can boost at the cost of fuel consumption. Alright, that. Yeah, every vehicle that got added to BR after this got updated to use fuel. We used to be a proper society. Shout out to those purely going gas station attendants during the first few weeks. That was pretty wholesome.
Fuel, mate. Go away.
Now we have to wait until Season 7 for our next entirely new vehicle to be added. But there were interesting things going on in the interim. Season 4 added in an Iron Man themed Whiplash that had unlimited boost in fuel because it was fueled by an arc reactor. Choppers got temporarily vaulted for Fortnite mirrors. I think that was only like a couple weeks long. Season 5 would see the choppers vaulted permanently for permanently. And we'd also get the planes unvaulted for Winterfest. You might have noticed that they are a little different.
Optimus, what have they done to you?
The boost is heavily limited by the fuel consumption. These things use fuel now and you can't boost very much anymore because of that. They're still good for transport, but holy shit, they made the gun so bloody horrible. I never had to concentrate so hard just trying to use them before. Holy crap.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Season 6, off-road tires are added. This was the first ever car mod to be added to the game. You can throw these on the ground to act as normal tire stacks, just like what you'd find on either this or the old map. Or you can throw them onto a car, turn them into a monster truck. They also enhanced the off-road They also enhanced the car's off-road handling if it wasn't already good at that. And now we're at Season 7 and we see our next new vehicle in quite a while. The UFOs, aka the Saucers, if you call them that. This control is very similar to the chopper. It's a VTOL aircraft that can dodge around here and there and carry 5 passengers including the pilot. It also has a battery instead of using fuel, and which can recharge quite quickly in fact when not in use. It also has 2 onboard weapons, a slow firing cannon that deals plenty of knockback to players and everything, and a tractor beam that can pick up players and other objects as well. This thing was a lot of fun to play with. It also has 3 lives, sort of like a cat, I guess. If it gets downed, it can actually repair itself after a little bit. It only gets destroyed for good if it gets downed 3 times.
I thought you were dead.
My death was greatly exaggerated. So, you're the punk I've heard about.
This thing was actually quite controversial as well. It ended up being almost as OP as the mechs. But unlike the mechs, which is straight up the fucking Terminator on steroids, the UFOs were a lot more goofy and fun to play with in nature. Like, take a look at these clips. You don't know how much I was laughing at these clips, you know. Also, this is a surprise. We actually got a collab with Ferrari during this season, where for 2 weeks, I think, every Whiplash on the map was replaced with the 296 GTB, which was a new car that came out at the time, I think. I think. Let me do my research real quick. And just like the Whiplash, these were still compatible with the off-road tires and completely destructible.
Ferrari!
No!
What have you done?
Surely Ferrari knew what they were getting into with this collab, right? Moving on to Season 8, some interesting stuff happened during this season. First were these turret stations that you could find with gold around the map, and once they were actually added in, they were mainly just stationary on the map. They weren't items that you could carry around with you or place anywhere on the map. The main attraction for this season though was the salvaged brute that got added in.
Hello, boys! I'm back!
This is a new version of the mechs, like recolored, but also they have been significantly nerfed. The shotgun was weaker, the launcher was much slower and fired way fewer missiles. it had only 900 health instead of the OG's 1250. It was definitely more balanced overall, because while you could still kill people pretty easily, especially if you took them by surprise, suddenly other people could kill you just as easily now, even if you were in the mech. Definitely couldn't say that about the old ones. These things were also like about as durable as that cardboard castle you like little kid would make. Like, you take a green AR, unload a full clip of that shit into the mech, and boom, mech dead. It's as simple as that. Maybe it's because people have wised up to actually shooting the thing instead of just running and trying to build a fort to protect themselves in futility. They were introduced only a couple weeks before the season ended, so they weren't around for long, so there's that.
Just can't let that happen. I'm going to kill you, Craig.
Yeah,
I see no logical reason not to. That is a final echo instant leash. Yeah. So what? Communication lock. Open it. Use the mic.
What the fuck, bro?
I'm bored. What else am I supposed to do?
Lost with that through the line.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive you all insane with me.
If he's here, rescue jump ships will be here soon. Process that.
Now we move on to Chapter 3, Season 1. We got all the usual cars that we first got back in Chapter 2. But they also unfolded quad crashes. They can't fly anymore though. And then Winterfest comes along, and you can clearly tell that Sergeant Winter thought he'd wanna pay a visit to Pimp My Ride for this Winterfest. Yo dog, I heard you like nutcracker, so I put nutcracker in nutcracker so you can nutcrack while you nutcrack. Enter the big holiday big rig. This thing drove around the map with Sergeant Winter sitting at the back. He'd throw around any presents at anyone who approached him and his truck. And if you had any funny ideas, he would shoot you right in the face. And if you somehow managed to get a hold of this truck for yourself, which may have involved a little bit of murder, he actually had unlimited boost in fuel. Did he put an arc reactor in this thing? They also pimped up the quad crashes as well for the Winterfest. Next is Season 2, and we get our first ever original vehicles for Chapter 3, the tanks and the armored battle buses. First, let's talk about the tank. I wish to be irresistible to men.
The fuck?
It controls just like how you'd expect in other games like Battlefield, you know. It has a thermal targeting computer, so you could scope in with the main cannon to shoot faraway targets. Aside from the driver, it can carry 3 other passengers. One operates a machine gun up top, and the other 2 just use their guns. It also has a bunch of unique weak spots to it. The hatch can be destroyed to expose the driver, the treads can be destroyed to impede control of the tank itself, and the engine at the back can be shot at, and if it gets shot at enough, the vehicle becomes completely immobilized for a bit. This is a very complex vehicle, like this is more complex than anything they put out up to this point. These things theoretically should have been OP, they're little fucking tanks.
Are you challenging me?
Epic just did make them OP. Next is the armored battle bus. This thing can hold 7 players in total, including the driver. That's like the highest capacity of any vehicle up to this point so far. You got 1 driver, 2 machine gunners, and 4 passengers using just their own guns. One turret is a usual machine gun, the other is like a slow firing caliber of sorts. We also got another new car mod added in the season, the cow catcher. It's this big angular looking bull bar. You can throw it on the ground to act as cover, mainly in zero build, which is also introduced in this season. Or as God intended, you can throw it onto a car, allowing it to destroy builds and just fuck shit up very easily. There were also these siege cannons that were dotted around the map. These were basically rotating pirate cannons that you couldn't push them around, but other than that, they basically functioned the same. You could either shoot things with them, or you could shoot yourself out of them. There also unfolded choppers later on in the later half of the season with a new 17 paint job. Season 2 in general was very heavy on vehicles, like with all the vehicle combat going around. It's like a party down there. So they introduced the Anvil rocket launcher, which was basically a javelin launcher. It could lock onto vehicles and it was designed to destroy them. And they also unveiled the heavy sniper rifle in this season, and they even buffed it to deal massive damage to vehicles on hit. So yeah, there's that. Next is season 3. Tanks and choppers got vaulted. That didn't last long. But now you can ride on wildlife around the map, and the armored bosses actually stuck around. Now we're covered in graffiti and called party buses. They pretty much function the exact same. But they also unvaulted boulders this season. That should be a lot of fun, right?
Psych!
One thing, they now have limited energy and they can't be recharged. So once you run out of energy,
Kaput.
that's it. And they also only spawn at one location, Rave Cave. Unlike back in Season 8, Chapter 1, Season 8, where they used to spawn anywhere. So like, that severely limited their accessibility. And as a result, they just don't hit the same. It's a real shame. I barely use the boulders, and that's quite sad.
Look how they massacred my boy.
But we did also have a wild weekend where UFOs got unvaulted for a couple days, so that was a lot of fun at least. Now we're on to Season 4, and well, what else is there to say other than buses and boulders being vaulted? Well, we got the Octane as an actual vehicle in this game, and one of the first of many collabs with Rocket League. This thing was incredibly fast. It could jump everywhere because it jumped so much. Could even ride on walls, and it was a pretty complex control scheme. Like, this thing was not that easy to control from what I remember. I don't think I used this thing much, but you could do this.
Yeah, I want to build like under them so when they do have to hit the balloon,
I'm up there, bro. I'm up there. I'm up there. I'm up there. I'm up there. Oh my god, I mounted on.
Oh no! Wait, with the car? Wait.
I just knocked on. I just
how'd you do that?
Almost forgot to mention this. Throwing a chrome splash onto a vehicle, those chrome splashes that were introduced in this season. A vehicle under the effects of chrome splash can actually repair itself over time when not in combat or being damaged. Now we're on to Chapter 4, and after weeks and weeks of leaks and speculation, dirt bikes were finally added as a main selling point of this season. A major selling point, not the main selling point. Before they came out, my own theory was that you could use single-handed weapons while riding these bikes, such as pistols and lever-action shotguns, but not all weapons. Turns out you can just use any gun while riding them. It just slows you down a bit. And of course you can carry an extra passenger on the back. Also, you could jump by charging the jump button. They also changed the trick music. I miss the old music. Also, the Whiplash technically got vaulted in this season. All the other cars stayed, but the Whiplash, the only way you could find that thing now was through Rift events. Though those things were very rare.
Wait. This is a new thing, because the Whiplashes are out of the game, right? Bro, hold on. Whiplashes are not in the game right now. This is a new Rift event, and it brings a Whiplash into the game. This is the only Whiplash. I don't remember it being this color, this like little pink color. It never looked like this. This is a new color.
Also, Sergeant Winter and his big rig returned for Winterfest. It was pretty much the same kind of event as Chapter 3's Winterfest. Yep, that's it. Next is Season 2. Dirt bikes got vaulted, and we got 2 new vehicles. The Nitro Drifters and the Rogue Bikes. The Rogue Bikes were supposed to be like a replacement for the dirt bikes. These things were incredibly fast when you were boosting on that sweet asphalt, but once you take them off-road, you might have a bit of a problem. The handling is absolutely pap when you're off-road. Still handles better than the ones in Red Dead Retribution. And when you consider that most of the map is grass, hills, and dirt, yep, that's a bit of a problem there. No wonder the dirt bikes got involved after a couple of weeks. The Nitro Drifter is basically a modified sedan with some tuner mods made into it, like something from Fast and Furious, sort of.
What do you mean?
It's very fast in terms of its top speed, like the Whiplash, and just like the ATK of old, you can Tokyo Drift all around the place to gain a lengthy speed boost. Like, it's actually pretty lengthy, unlike that of the ATK. Also, just listen to that engine sound. Season 3? You can ride Raptors.
I feel like I'm slippery.
Next is Season 4. Nitro Drifters got vaulted, but the Nitro Fan got added. This is a new vehicle. It's similar to the Whiplash and the Nitro Drifter. Can hold 4 passengers, and it was pretty fast, and it could drift around a bunch to gain a speed boost like the 80k and the Nitro Drifter. We move on to Fortnite OG. This was a callback to the good old glory days of late Chapter 1, well, mid to late Chapter 1. And throughout the whole month of this season, we'd see classic vehicles unvaulted on a weekly basis, in keeping with the seasons that each week represented. 80k, shopping carts, and mounted turrets all got unvaulted the first week. Quad crashers and driftboards unvaulted the second week. Quad crashers still can't fly. Fuck! Pirate cannons and planes unvaulted in the third week. Planes still use fuel and their guns are still shit. Boulders unvaulted in the fourth week. They still use energy, but at least they spawn everywhere now, so at least they were more fun to play with than they were in Chapter 3. Interesting thing is the mechs weren't unvaulted during the final week, which was supposed to represent Season X. I guess Fortnite just didn't want to deal with the controversy that happened from all. Now we move on to Chapter 5. This represented a massive paradigm shift in Fortnite's vehicle design, and I guess the whole art style as a whole, but we're focusing on the vehicles here. Because the new vehicles we got throughout this whole chapter, they aren't outlandish anymore. That's a shame. But Rocket Racing, RIP, got introduced a couple days after Chapter 5 launched, and it introduced customizable cars to the game. These can be earned from a variety of sources, such as the Battle Pass, mostly the item shop, but you could also get them from a few other places, such as Rocket League. And the way these worked in Battle Royale was they'd replace any Whiplash you entered into as the driver. I own practically every one of these car skins, and I'm doing a series called Every Car Review where I review every single one of these car skins. So keep an eye on that. Also, they added these new SUVs. They look like G-classes. Keep an eye on those, by the way. We also got a TMNT collab during this season, during the first season of Chapter 5. And as part of that collab, they actually added in a new variant of the drift board. It looks cool, but uses limited energy. What the fuck? Safe to say I never used them. We live in a society.
Gee,
absolutely
sure
nothing happened in
around
Season 2,
here.
but let's just move on to Season 3, the Mad Max season. This is all about vehicular combat and car mods. Like, there were lots of car mods in this game. G-classes finally became customizable with SUV skins. The first SUV skins we ever got in the game. And to this day, there are only 3 of them in the game so far.
Go fuck yourself!
So these car mods, these things were scattered all around the map in these big wooden crates. These range from turrets the passenger could operate, to the returning cow catcher and off-road tires, to new ones like the armor tires and the spiked bumper. Vehicle boost was also reworked in this season. No longer does it guzzle through fuel excessively, but now it has its own separate bar that recharges when not in use. Now you can just gas at your own pleasure without having to worry about running on empty. And the SUVs can do it too, just a bit shorter than the Whiplashes. Gas stations also got a huge renovation in this season. There's these new pads that refueled and repaired your car automatically when you parked on top of them, which are very convenient, I will say. This also introduced the nitro effect. Not to be confused with nitrous in other racing games. This effect could be gained through various means, such as jumping or driving through all these nitro rings that got scattered around the map, or just cracking these nitro splashes things. When you were in a vehicle affected by nitro, it was much faster, basically unlimited fuel. It had explosive ramming power, and any turret modes you had on it dealt a way more damage. And if you're on foot with a nitro effect, you could just run through everything. Well, you could. We'll get to that later. There are also 3 different boss cars, that's what they're called, on the map around the map. You had Ringmaster Scar's Lockjaw in the Nitrodrome, Machinist Lockjaw, which was either at Redline Rig or the War Bus Convoy, we'll get to that later, and Megalodon's Behemoth. This is either at Brutal Beachhead or also at the Convoy. All of these boss cars, these were super high on Nitro and they were just absolutely loaded with the best mods you could get. They could also repair themselves passively during the first week. That got removed as part of a nerf. So yeah, that War Bus, that's basically a new variant of the Armored Battle Bus from Chapter 3. It looks like a Ricer worked on it. It also came with an EMP horn that the normal one didn't have. When you sounded this thing, it breaks players' shields and disables vehicles completely. You know, kind of like that shield break from Chapter 4, Season 4. 1 or 2 of these could spawn in a game depending on where Machinist and Megalodon wanted to hang out. Season 3 sounds amazing. This launch was absolutely amazing. Like, this is probably going to be one of the best seasons ever.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh, I see how it is, pro players. No fun allowed, huh? Great. Car mods are now mid because Epic didn't bother adding separate loopholes for competitive and casual. Wow, great. And then they added them in after all the nerfs. Like, what was the point of all this shit? As for Season 4, car mods and boss cars, those are all gone now. Some of the Nitro rings stayed, mainly around the desert biome, but most of them that weren't in the desert biome, those are all gone. The gas station pads stayed though. Huge boon for convenience. Yeah, there's not much I can say about vehicles in this season, but most people just fly around with jetpacks anyway, so that, yeah. And now here we are at Chapter 2 Remix, so kind of like OG from the last year. This was a callback to the glory days of Chapter 2. So we'd see all the classic cars back in addition to the customizable Whiplash. And also the motorboats got on Volta as well. Those were pretty much the same. Wait, no, those use fuel now, I think. Yeah, those use fuel now, but they got changed during the actual Chapter 2, so... yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. Choppers got unvaulted after a week. And here's the main attraction. The lowriders. These got added in as part of the collab with Snoop Dogg, who was like one of the main headliners of this season, along with all the other rappers. This was totally his style, so it makes sense for these lowriders to be here. Not just the Cadillacs that they had at the dog pound, but any custom car you jumped into, they could have these hydraulics on them. So the way these worked is you could jump around by charging them, like these cars could literally jump, kind of like the dirt bikes. And if you were driving slowly, you were just sitting around stationary with a radio turned. They'd bounce around, like the front wheels would jump up and down. So yeah, that was pretty funny. But here's the thing, here's the interesting thing. For the first 2 weeks, there was a glitch. There was an exploit with the lowriders where if you bound your car's jump button to your scroll wheel and you just spam the hell out of it, you could launch yourself literally into the stratosphere.
Holy Jesus!
I'll let the clips. I'll let the clip speak for itself. All right, let me see if this works.
Some person named Amelia on Discord.
It works. Okay.
Oh, what does?
Oh! Oh my God!
Wait, you're doing it?
Wait.
Yeah, it's working. It's fucking.
Oh my God. Bro. Ow. Can you try it with me? Wait, hold on.
Okay, get in the car! Get in the car! Oh my God!
Oh my God!
What do you mean get in the car?
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Let's see what happens.
Observe! Both of you, observe! Yeah.
Oh my
Oh
Jesus!
Oh my God! This is insane! Oh my God!
Oh my God! This is. Find McLaren. I've seen Fortnite is the game of all time.
Fortnite is the game of all time!
Unsurprisingly, this glitch got patched after the first update of the remix, so yeah, all good things must come to an end, I suppose. Also, SUVs are completely absent from this season. You really shouldn't be selling this in the shop right now. And that brings us to today, as of me uploading this video. Chapter 6, Season 1. Road bikes and dirt bikes are involved. Road bikes still shit when off-road. Both the SUVs are back now, and yeah, just the whiplashes and the SUVs are the only cars in this season now, aside from the dirt bikes and the road bikes. Yeah, it's a bit of a mundane time for vehicles right now. Who knows? Yeah, who knows really if we're gonna get anything like really cool like the mechs or the UFOs or the bowlers again, like something all new that's just as cool as those, but you never know, man.